Chapter 24, The Obstacle of Lack of Faith. What you are asking for, Vladimir, can be done. I sense that it can be done, but you do not want to seek the solution yourself. Rather than spending your energy on the search, you are expending it on convincing me to find a solution. You have placed an obstacle before you, consisting of lack of faith in your own powers. And as you try to convince me, you are fortifying this obstacle more and more. Beyond it, Vladimir, beyond your obstacle of lack of faith in your own powers, there are beautiful gardens blooming and glorious flowers growing, and among them are living, happy people. Yet you cannot see all of this. The obstacle you have constructed keeps you from doing so. That's a big one to take in. If I find the solution for you, then it will grow more fortified still. What's more, the solution might turn out to be very, very simple. And that would be an affront to you. You will not think, you will think, why couldn't I guess that myself? You will decide that it's clear that you are not competent. You have turned to me, perhaps, thinking me a sorceress who is capable of bringing to bear powers unknown to man to solve your problem. But I am no sorceress at all. Through my feelings, I am able to take in from the universe information about everything that has been, about everything that the universe knows. But every person is also capable of taking in the very same information, if he does not erect the obstacle of lack of faith in his own powers. If he is physically healthy, and if he thinks in an undistorted way. The information of the universe resembles that which is a The information of the universe resembles that which a supercomputer can contain within it. A person who possesses a computer taps several keys and receives this information that he needs. Now imagine, Vladimir, that instead of tapping several keys, you ask me to do that. A person is in continual need of information, and if he does not know himself how to tap in these keys himself, then he will always need to have alongside him someone who does know how. Well, I know how to get information using a computer, but I don't know how to get it from the universe. It's simple, very simple. Seek the solution of your problem yourself. Believe that you, precisely you, will find the correct solution, the most correct one. Well, I've been thinking about it for a whole year, and there's no answer. And I am telling you, the answer cannot make its way through the obstacle you have constructed, and your fervent appeal to me only confirms this. I will not solve your problem for you. Anastasia's decisive refusal to help me outraged me. Well, of course you won't. You're firm in your convictions. No arguments can make you act otherwise, I said with bitter irony. I repeat again, there are 300 families there, and God forbid the same situation arises for people building family homesteads in other places that has arisen here. But there are 300... Vladimir, perhaps God actually gave rise to this situation. Imagine, if there had been fertile soil there right from the start, then these people would not have received these spots. Perhaps God himself arranged everything this way, and those in power deemed these lands unsuitable for growing gardens. This situation made it possible for 300 families to acquire this land and begin building their kin's domains. Perhaps someone is even having a laugh at their expense and figuring that their heavenly oasis won't succeed, but the information will push its way through to one of them in the form of a tiny spark. And these spots will be lit up by billions of flowers on fruit trees and in the grasses. All right, maybe it will push its way through, that tiny spark, but look, we want to live today, now, and with a beautiful vision of the future, not with hopelessness. All of a sudden, I sensed a pleasant warmth behind my back and turned around. My son, Volodya, was standing next to me. Our eyes met, and the unusual warmth grew even stronger. My son's face looked like Anastasia's, and maybe a little bit more like mine when I was young. His height was nearly equal to mine. His still youthful build was distinguished by its good proportions and unusual athleticism, one expressed through ideal balance rather than artificially pumped up muscles. My son's gaze, it resembled Anastasia's affectionate gaze. And in this gaze, there was also, you see, in his gaze, you could detect an inexplicable confidence, an inexplicable and yet somehow calm confidence. It's as if he has no idea that any difficulties even exist in life, or if he can't imagine any situations that man can't overcome. Volodya bowed to me and then began speaking, addressing Anastasia. Mama, I heard what you were speaking of here. Mama, please allow me to address you and express my opinion. He bowed deferentially to Anastasia and silently awaited her reply. This was the first time I had seen or felt the kind of deference and love he had for Anastasia. He probably couldn't begin a conversation without her permission. Anastasia looked at our son attentively, in no hurry to answer. There was no severity in her gaze, but rather tenderness and respect. Strange, I thought. Why is she taking so long to answer this simplest request of his? The speed of her thought is great. In the space of such a long pause, she would be able to calculate a multitude of variations of the way events could play out, but here, there's nothing to calculate. Anastasia finally replied, "Do speak, my dear son. Papa and I will listen to you attentively." Mama, I feel it would be good and correct for you to help Papa. I feel it's important for him to solve this problem. And if you help him, the obstacle of lack of faith in his own powers and his own intelligence will not grow more fortified, but rather smaller. It will even crumble partially, perhaps, but it will still crumble. And Volodya fell silent. Once again, Anastasia did not answer right away. For some time, she looked at our son affectionately, smiling, and then she said, "Of course, you're right, my dear son. In the given situation, it really is necessary to help Papa. Volodya, you go ahead. Please help Papa. The two of you will find a solution, along with other people. It will be best if you begin searching for it right away, right here. I will not hinder you." Anastasia turned and began slowly moving away from us. After taking a few steps, she turned around and added, "You are faced with co-creating a very interesting and useful deed, demonstrably and significantly perfecting the dwelling land." My son and I stood before each other. I asked him, "Tell me, Volodya, can you use all the information there is in the universe the way Mama can? Many thinkers speak of it. Stanislav Lem, a very famous writer, he said the universe is like a supercomputer, and we can't get along without it. Do you have any access to utilizing it?" not in utilizing it as fast as Mama does. Why not? Because Mama is a purebred. What does that mean, a purebred? I asked in surprise. That means that the Wellspring people's breed has been preserved in her. And so why hasn't it been preserved in you? Oh, I get it. And I thought to myself, it's because I'm not purebred. That's probably the way Anastasia explained it to him. But then why the heck did she agree to have a child with a non-purebred? She couldn't find anyone else? Is that what that means? My son looked at me attentively. It's possible he understood what I was thinking about, and he said, Mama loves you very much, Papa. Come along with me. I will show you 2 things. Let's go, I said, agreeing, and set off to follow my son. When we got to the entrance to the dugout where I had spent the night with Anastasia when we first met, Volodya moved aside a stone, thereby opening up a way into a longish little cave, or a den. He stuck his hand inside as if taking something out of a safe, and pulled out an empty cognac bottle and a stick. I recognized it. This was the bottle from which I'd drunk the cognac when we first met, when we stopped for a rest. Wow, I thought, she kept the bottle. But what's that stick? I asked Volodya. This is the stick you wanted to hit Mama with when, before I was born, she wouldn't agree to give me to you to raise. She could not have saved that stick, I said sheepishly. Mama says that when you were holding this stick, a great deal of energy was surging through you, and now it's very dear to her. Okay, what does she do with these things? At the very least, she might collect water in the bottle. Mama does not collect water in it. She often comes to this spot, moves aside the stone, takes the bottle and the stick in her hand, and looks at them, smiling, and says some words. She's made it so that you will live forever, Papa. From time to time, you'll go to sleep for a moment, and then awaken in a new body. I was stunned. How can you create such a thing with words? You can create a great deal with words, Papa, and especially when those words are uttered by Mama, and when she repeats them so often besides. What are these words, Volodya? I asked my son softly. And my son began, as if reciting poetry, to recite the words Anastasia would often utter at this spot. My love, you and I have before us all eternity. Life always comes into its own. A little ray of sun will shine in the springtime. The soul will don a new body, but the mortal body, too, has reason to meekly embrace the earth. Fresh flowers and grass will rise in the springtime from our bodies. And should you, retaining your lack of faith, scatter to the winds as specks of dust in the vast universe, then I, my love, will put you back together again from the specks of dust, wandering adrift for eons on end. Volodya, I also heard Anastasia say these words one day. I thought it was just some pretty phrase she was uttering. I had no idea they had a literal meaning. Yes, Papa, they have a literal meaning. Well, how do you like that? I said, drawing out the words. Many thanks to Anastasia for Eternity. Papa, say thank you to Mama when you see her. Say it to her with belief in your words, and she will be very happy. I'll tell her. We need to solve your problem, Papa. The problem that's now our shared problem. Let's go to the lake. We'll sketch out a layout of the hectare you're talking about in the sand. We'll think about how to set it up. We will think very powerfully, and we'll think until the correct solution comes to us. I walked behind my son and thought, well, but how? How can it come to us, this solution? There's no answer to be found, not in the literature and not on the internet. I've searched for it everywhere, but haven't found it. I'd consult with experts on agricultural methods, and they hadn't given me any valuable advice. But he, Volodya, had clearly not read anything on this question. He didn't have Anastasia's capabilities. He didn't know how to utilize information from the entire universe. Then what could he use to help him find something there? But there he was, walking along, as if he was capable of solving the problem. We need to do something that will be more effective than the meaningless expectation. Wait. Huh? There's random quotations that have an ending but no beginning. Oh, okay, these are just his thoughts, sorry. But there he was, walking along, as if he was capable of solving the problem. We need to do something that will be more effective than meaningless expectations or searching. And I decided I would talk with my son. Stop, Volodya. Let's have a seat on that tree there. I need to have a serious chat with you. All right, Papa, let's have a seat. I will listen to you attentively. We sat down on the trunk of a fallen tree. My son laid his hands on his knees and looked at me attentively with Anastasia's gaze. But I didn't know how to start off this not very pleasant conversation with him. Not very pleasant, but necessary. Now I'm going to say some things that may not be very pleasant for you, Volodya, but I need to say them. Go ahead and say them, Papa. I can endure unpleasant things. I won't be offended. Volodya, you need to understand that Anastasia directed you to help me so that I'd stop pestering her with my questions. You won't be able to offer any help whatsoever, not to me, and not to these people who are setting up their homesteads. You don't have Mama's capabilities, and you don't know your way around agricultural methods, and clearly, you don't know what a landscape design is. Am I right? Papa, I believe that a landscape design is when a person is planning to create a space that is beautiful. That's more or less it, but in order to make something beautiful, people who have a knack for this also spend 5 years or more studying, sharing information, and looking at various illustrations. Have you seen this? Have you seen even one well-designed homestead? When Mama and I went to the village, I saw the way on the land around their houses. People, all you've seen is village gardens that have no design at all. Yes, Papa, gardens. But I've imagined how I would make my own homestead. I reflected on that and imagined it. Just imaginings alone are not enough. You need serious and comprehensive knowledge that you do not have, and so it follows that you have no basis for thinking. As for me, well, I've been thinking for a lot more than a year, and not just thinking, I've been consulting with experts too, and it's all no use. We won't be able to get this business off the ground now simply with our thinking. But you really can help. I've hatched a plan. You could help me convince Anastasia to join in with us on solving the problem. If we give it all we've got, she'll give in. But Papa, Mama has already made a decision, and her decision is help. I cannot allow myself to try to convince Mama to reverse her decision. I see. He can't allow himself, I cried. So when Mama tells you to help, you obey her without thinking. But when your father asks, then right away it's, I won't. So that's how you're being raised. No respect for your elders, for your father. I have great respect for you, Papa, Volodya objected calmly. I will carry out your request and help you. That's more like it. Let's take a bit of a walk somewhere until evening, and we'll go to Anastasia as if we're really upset. She won't be able to stand it, and she'll start helping us. Papa, when I said I would help, I mean that I'd work with you to solve the problem of how to make the soil more productive, and make a mock-up of the landscape for the whole homestead. Oh, that's how it is. You mean you'll help me solve it. Do you even get... Come on, you'll get it. And I set off walking toward the shore at a fast clip. I used a twig to sketch out a plan in the sand of the hectare abutting the forest. Volodya used various grasses and sticks, which he stuck into the sand on one side to represent the forest that abuts the side of the plot opposite the road. I had sketched the layout of the plot just so Volodya could realize in practical terms of how useless his attempts were. But then it happened that I myself got caught up in searching for all the possible options. We spent 2 days thinking about this problem of how to arrange it so that the gardens would grow up and various vegetables would mature on not very fertile land. We went over and over it in our minds and discussed a great many options, but we weren't finding a solution to the problem. And we weren't finding a solution because one of the conditions was to do everything with minimal resources. If not for that condition, then with enough money we could bring in fertile dirt on dump trucks, but we would need a minimum of 50 loads of dirt. Each load costs 17,000 rubles. It follows that we'd need 850,000 rubles. The majority of the 300 families could not afford that. What's more, in the spring, water close to the surface might wash out the fertile layer and carry it away as it ran off to the flatlands. In order to distract ourselves from what at that point seemed like the hopeless problem of improving the soil's productivity, Volodya and I began designing the landscaping for the area. Or more precisely, we attempted to arrange various structures so that they would complement each other and the surrounding area. I explained to Volodya. First of all, we need to build the outhouse and the bathhouse, and then the shed, the home, the garage, the root cellar, and the greenhouse. We have to arrange all of this somehow so that it will be both pretty and convenient. We constructed a mock-up of the home out of sand and placed it at the center of the plot. The bathhouse and outhouse were next to the home, and the shed on the back side of the home. We created a greenhouse out of sand too. We laid a little white stick atop the oblong mound so that it would look like glass or plastic sheeting. Clearly, this greenhouse would not fit in anywhere. We built it first to the right of the home, then to the left, but even so, it stuck out of the overall grouping like a sore thumb. And really, I didn't like this so-called grouping itself, and to all appearances, neither did Volodya. Gazing thoughtfully at the rough design, he said, "We have made some kind of mistake." "Not just one," I added. "It looks like there's a lot of them." "Even so, I think it's one. There must be some kind of right approach, some principle, some view, or some kind of other thing that will solve all the problems at once." "What kind of new approach could there possibly be? I've laid out everything the way most people in the country do. This layout has been working out over the centuries. It's all we've got. People just can't have been mistaken for centuries, not knowing some principle that might not even exist at all." "It does exist. I sense it." Volodya was silent for a bit and then added, "Or perhaps it will exist. We have to think, Papa, and we will find it." And where the heck will we find it if neither you nor I is in contact with this universal database? We will look for it within ourselves. Okay, well then maybe you will find it within you, but I'll be 60 years old soon, and I probably won't have enough time. We have enough time, Papa. We will definitely have enough time. I will try very, very hard. I will find it. We will find it. I had strained my thoughts to such a great extent that even during the night when I'd fallen asleep on the fragrant grasses of the dugout, I kept going over and over all the possible options in my dreams. In my dreams, the fruit trees and the flowers grew quickly right before my very eyes, but then they just as quickly wilted and fell without giving any fruit.